Thursday, October 17th. Welcome to the Damon Brew Show, brought to you by Ike Sandwiches. Today's live stream brought to you by BetUS as well, and it's great to have you here. Thanks so much for stopping on by once again. We are climbing towards 25,000 subscribers. I thank you. I'd love it if you could hit like right now. If you could go ahead and maybe even share this video with some of your like-minded sports friends who you think would do well in our fantastic chat, as always. And it is really good to have you, as always. Today, I am using StreamYard to bring you this show. Larry uses StreamYard. It's pretty much the common tool of the trade. I've always used Restream, so be a little patient with me as I clicking around on some new buttons. And if for any reason this show were to be shut off all at once, please be patient with me and come on back. New buttons, everyone. Damon Bruce and new buttons have never really been good friends. I will tell you that right now. Comments all around. We got good folks. Are we muted? We're not muted, are we? You can hear me, right? Who muted my YouTube? Can you hear me? Someone wants to know where's Button Vixen. Dude, Elena just got married. We're so happy for her. God, I love Elena. I miss Elena. Anyways, it is really, really good to have you. It is great to have you here. As you can see, Smiley Dan says, I thought that Nick Wright segment was really, really good. Well, thank you. And what I'm going to do is at the end of today's show, play that segment for you. So you have full working Nick Wright interview capacity to go talk about it with your friends. I know people love complaining about Nick. You know, if Nick weren't as good as he is, people wouldn't complain about the things that he says. He has been wrong about Bay Area sports an awful lot in his career. I mean, this was the guy who told me that the Houston Rockets were about to knock off the Golden State Warriors year after year after year after year. He tries to speak things into existence. I'll tell you what, he's spoken into existence. Very successful career on Fox Sports. And it's great that I have the chance to tap into him. We sometimes put him in check. We sometimes, teach him a thing or two. He's always a very interesting guy, though. And we are going to play, I think, that video for you in today's live stream in case you missed it. But first, we have to get to the topic at hand. You see Andy Reid? Outside of the body type, you know what I also see? I see Kyle Shanahan. I absolutely do think one guy is basically the prequel, the origin story almost of the other guy. And it's amazing how much of their careers are similar, even though Kyle's timeline is much more compressed than Andy Reid's was, because Andy Reid is in his, 25th year as an NFL head coach. Kyle's in only season 8. But I really do think that Kyle Shanahan is Andy Reid before Andy Reid turned his career around in Kansas City. You know, everyone, like Kyle, knew Andy was a really good play caller. Everyone understood that Andy Reid saw the matrix when he looked at offense. And Kyle is, without a doubt, that guy. But everyone was also convinced early on that greatness would elude Andy Reid. And there's a lot of people who still think that Kyle is never going to actually put his hands around a Lombardi trophy. You know, critics were right to point out game management issues, clock management issues with Andy Reid in Philadelphia. He would have to overcome those. And these are two issues that I think Kyle Shanahan still needs to learn how to overcome. Now, Andy has really figured it out. Once he got to KC, it felt like he was a different coach. It felt like he did an awful lot of inventory of what went right, what went wrong in Philadelphia, and he only brought the good ideas to Kansas City and left an awful lot of the bad ideas in the rearview mirror. But none of his ideas quite worked like the idea of drafting Patrick Mahomes, and that just unlocked Andy Reid's career to a level which, again, very few people thought possible. You know, you look at Andy Reid now, and it's very easy to forget all the doubts, all of the questions, all the time management issues, all of the, well, he just wants to run his offense. And there's a level of arrogance attached to Andy Reid. And Andy Reid would rather, lose his way than win someone else's. I mean, does any of this sound familiar to you? All of this is what you hear about Kyle Shanahan, right? All of this is what you hear about Shanahan. He's never going to figure it out. He's never going to change his ways. He's never going to learn. We've heard it all. We've heard it all. Got my man Sporticus saying Andy Reid has shown much more willingness to change game plans based on the players he has on his roster. Much different looking Chiefs team with Alex Smith than Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. And I really do believe that Kyle Shanahan, as much as he wants to run his offense, he tailors his game plan to around what he's got. Does he try to force things sometimes? You could say was, Trey Lance, he tried to force that to happen. It didn't really happen. But I just look at guys who understand the league and understand what it takes to win in the league. And early on, the only thing that you couldn't pin on Andy Reid was, well, he hasn't won a Super Bowl. He had pretty much done everything else but win a Super Bowl. Kyle is living that existence right now. Reid was in Philadelphia for 14 seasons. When he left, he was the franchise's all-time winningest head coach. Do you realize how close Kyle Shanahan is to fitting that definition as well? He's getting closer. Tell me if any of this sounds familiar to you. The Eagles advanced to the NFC Championship game 4 years in a row. Now, obviously, it didn't happen 4 years in a row for Kyle, but they advanced to the Eagles. The Eagles went to the NFC title game 4 years in a row from 2001 to 2004. And in 2004, they finally get over the hump. They don't lose an NFC title game. They win it over the Atlanta Falcons. And then in the Super Bowl, Andy Reid runs into the coach and quarterback combination that is currently defining that era. Does that sound familiar to you? Do you think Kyle Shanahan could relate to that? Here I've been knocking on the door, and then when it gets to the big game, I continue running into the defining coach and quarterbacking combination of the era. For Reid in Philadelphia, he gets to the Super Bowl. It's Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. For Kyle, it's been Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. 8 more seasons, though. After that one Super Bowl appearance and loss, Donovan McNabb tossing his cookies out on the field. 8 more seasons after that Super Bowl loss. And when it did come time to say goodbye to Andy, look, it was time. He was 4-12 in his last season. And then he gets to Kansas City, and he's very successful there in his first 5 years. And then he gets Mahomes, and the Chiefs have basically been historically significant since 2018-19. They have been the team to beat in the NFL. Let's take a look at Kyle and where he is right now. He's given an awful lot of blame for game management failures that have undercut his own undeniable ability to put a really good game plan together. And I'm not saying that these critiques are unfounded. I'm not saying it is unfair to say Kyle has really blown some clock management issues, some game management issues. Just overtime in the last Super Bowl is clearly the most glaring example. Yeah, I get it. I get the frustration. I truly do. But you got to understand how close Kyle is, and you just cannot give up on a guy who continues to get this close over and over and over again. So lots of NFC title games. He finally breaks through to the Super Bowl, but no success there. And what do you know? In his big game, he runs into historically significant coach-quarterback combo, just like Andy. Before his tenure ends, by the way, I think it's very safe to assume that Kyle Shanahan is not going to get fired this year, the following year, or really the year after that. This guy's got at least 4 or 5 seasons remaining without a Super Bowl victory as head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. And again, if you're tearing your hair out over that, you've been in an information silo of disinformation, and I don't blame you for being completely spun around by this. Kyle Shanahan is very likely going to be, just like Andy Reid was in Philadelphia, the 49ers' all-time winningest coach. He will have won more games with the San Francisco 49ers than Bill Walsh and George Seifert. He is on that pace right now. Shanahan is already third all times in games coached for the 49ers with 121. That's just 31 behind Bill Walsh's 152 games coached. He's already third all time in franchise playoff wins, only behind Walsh and Seifert. That's it. So Kyle, right now, with 0 Super Bowls, is nothing short of the third best coach in the history of this franchise. With 5 more wins, he's going to pass Buck Shaw. So later this year, unless something catastrophic were to happen, later this year, he will be third on the all-time wins list in franchise history, and it's only year 8 for Kyle. And he spent his first 2 years taking something apart that was so thoroughly broken that when you look at the 49ers all-time coaching wins leader, you get to Chip Kelly's name and it says 2. He won 2 games. Oh, and Chip Kelly spent a little time in Philadelphia too. So he's 5 wins away from the third most wins in franchise history in just year 8. You got to understand, Andy Reid didn't win his first Super Bowl until his 21st season as an NFL head coach. Even for the great ones. And we all now admit, like, it's great. And did you think that Andy Reid really needed to win that Super Bowl before you can say, this guy's a great coach? You know, to X marks the spot, any argument for greatness? Yes, you need that Lombardi trophy. But if you can only identify greatness as you're looking over the Lombardi trophy, you really don't know what you're looking at. You shouldn't be studying the horizon. You know, you've got to be able to say this guy is good at it before they actually win it all if you are going to be a reasonable sports fan in your life. And there is no doubt, like, you know, one of the great head coaches of all time, Don Shula. Look him up, kids. He didn't win a Super Bowl until his 10th season as an NFL head coach. You know, great ones sometimes take time to win it all. And that's what I think is what we're looking at with Kyle Shanahan. I still have him categorized as it's only a matter of time. I think there's so much that corresponds between 2 careers. You know, Andy's timeline is stretched over many more seasons of football than Kyle's is, but I see so much similarity in it. The critiques that were all over Andy Reid correctly, that are all over Kyle right now correctly, are similar. Their success rate, though, the amount of, hey, double-digit win seasons these guys crank out, it's impressive. It's very impressive. So it's everyone's least favorite word, and I get that, but patience. Patience is really all you need, I think, to find what you're looking for with Kyle Shanahan as head coach of the 49ers. At least that's what I hope. Week 7 officially begins tonight in the NFL, and you know what I want to do? Hold on. I got to go over here real quick. I got to make sure we're logged on. See, again, I told you it was new StreamYard for me here, using new stuff. So I've got to log in over here. What's going on over there? Boom, boom, boom. Get out of here. What is going on? Get me to the sports book. The sport that I want to look at is football. Yeah, that's what I want. You're going to give it to me? Yeah, you're giving it to me right now. All right, pardon me, everyone. Like I said, we're going through some growing pains with the new streaming service over here. But let me take you to Bet US to look at Week 7, which begins tonight. We got a Thursday nighter, baby. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Broncos at the Saints. Saints are getting 3 points at home against a rookie quarterback. I know it's Spencer Rattler, but I don't think that Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos are ready to go into New Orleans and win that game. And I think New Orleans is scrambling enough to where they want to get it done. And I'm getting points, and I'm in the Voodoo Dome. I am going to go ahead. I'm going to click on that. We're going to put, I'm feeling bold. I'm going to put a 50 spot on it. 50 spot on it. Place my bet. Boom. It is that easy, folks, over on BetUS. It really is. It is that easy to find yourself right in the middle of some fun gambling action over with our good friends at BetUS. Let me get back over here. This is where I want to tell you that if you go to BetUS right now, and you use promo code YouTube150, you'll get 150% sign up bonus up to up to $2,000 on your first deposit and up to 125% up to $2,000 on your next two deposits. So check out BetUS. I'm rolling with the Saints +3 tonight at home. I am always rolling with that guy in the corner right there. That is Ike. Ike has a delicious sandwich right now for you with my name on it. Get a Damon Bruce at Ike's. You can throw the kitchen sink at whatever sandwich you order at Ike's. You want to put mozzarella sticks on that? He'll do it. Extra sauce, Godfather sauce, he'll do it. You need onion rings? He'll do it. Everything you could possibly think of that you could put on a sandwich, he'll do it. The best menu you're going to find anywhere. Delicious sandwiches at Ike's, and I want you to download that Ike's Rewards program, and I want you to do it right now, please. That Rewards program gives you a free Sando when you sign up for the Love Rewards program. You can just be friends, or you can get a little intimate with Ike and start earning your way towards more free sandwiches on the Love Rewards program. You can date. You can be in the inner sanctum of love. If you really are a huge sandwich guy or gal out there, you can win yourself free chips, free drinks. I mean, the new app is awesome. Check it out. My man Ike has something delicious for you. And join us at the Dubliner. We're going to be at the Dubliner Sunday bye week. We're still talking November 3rd, right? I got to double check on that date. It is November 3rd. And I already saw our friend Gina is not going to be able to join us on November 3rd. Terribly sorry about that. Wish you could. But that's the day that we could get childcare for Jack and Ozzy. So it's going to be the 3rd. And we also like to have some NFL games on while we're all hanging out at PluceMania 5. PluceMania 5 still officially needs a name. I don't think we've officially attached a name to it yet. Someone wants to show some Ike's food porn. Well, you know what, Freddie G? We will do that soon. I am starting to figure out new things. I'm learning the instrument that I've been playing now for about a year, a little over a year. And so give me some time. But yes, food porn coming, I promise. And that'll be the only porn that I bring to you. And you're all welcome for that, by the way. I'll tell you what. I trust Smiley Dan so much. Smiley Dan, I'm going to allow you to name this PluceMania. Although this is pretty good right here. Jacob Gordon, the Plucification. The Plucification. Smiley Dan, if you got something better than the Plucification, bring it to us. This is Gina. Gina can't make it. Gina, we're so sorry that you're not going to be able to join us. Maybe another time. But I do like the Plucification. I really do. Love the Plusers. Joe, I hope you can join us at the Plucening. Very, very good. The Plusering. True blue forever. My man. Anyways, discuss it amongst yourself. Smiley Dan, you go ahead and you cast the deciding vote. By the way, sip of the day. I mean, nailed it right there. Absolutely great. PluceMania 5, saving sports talk and time. Thank you very much, Erwin. Plusing, people like plusing. I'm going to be there with ganja jars. Joe, I'm going to tell you right now, JJ Raider, I hope you're JJ Raider. I'm putting the flag up. The ganja jar is officially empty now. So JJ, if you're ready to go, let me know. Smiley Dan, way over on the sip of the day. Did we go way over today? All right. Fair enough. Smiley Dan, you let us know what we're ending up with. I should actually find out if Smiley Dan can make it. I don't just want to assume that you're going to be there. Look at it. Joe Sullivan said ganja. It's got you, Damon. See, this is why we have a very, very special relationship with this audience. By the way, Rockin' New Air 84. What about Plusaween? See, if we call it Plousaween, the boys are going to want to come. And I don't think we can hang out with a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old all day at the Dubliner. So. By the way, SG Sports Talk channel, I don't know if you reached out to me on Twitter yet, man. Go ahead, at Damon Bruce me, and let's try to connect. I'd be happy to come on your podcast, as we were talking about earlier. Plus a treat. See, you guys are all smarter than I am. You should all be marketers. Seriously. Plus a weed. Thank you very much. Rob wants to know, is there a gummy jar? Yeah, call me old-fashioned. You know, I still like to smoke my weed. I'm just an old-fashioned guy like that. But yeah, look at it this way. If there's a gummy jar, that's probably where you see Jillian poking around, right? Smiley Dan is looking at PluceMania V, the Plusification. That's it. Smiley Dan has decided. Smiley Dan has decided. There you go. PluceMania V, the Plusification. It's here, baby. It's on. We will see you Sunday, bye week, Dubliner. Yeah, baby. Absolutely love it. Let me get my friends at BetUS, since they're powering this live stream, back into the mix. Back to our main topic. You know, Andy Reid was talking about Brock Purdy, and he said all the nice, right things. He said, I think he's a heck of a player. I remember the head coach at Iowa State saying this guy changed the program around. And when you make a statement like that, he's a good football coach. When you make a statement like that, that's bold. And we all see why he said it. He was right on with that. This kid, he's a heck of a football player. Andy Reid is right. I mean, you want to get into, Nick Wright's insistence that he's mid-tier. He's still 13, 14, 15. I think he's easily in a top 10 conversation. Most Niner fans insist he's already in a top 5 conversation. I think that top 5, second 5 are interchangeable week to week almost in this league. Everyone wants to submit to me Josh Allen as a, without a doubt, better than Brock Purdy. There are weeks where he certainly is. He's got a body type that is certainly more impressive, and he can do things with his legs in terms of just running through guys that you want Brock Purdy to get out of harm's way. I honestly don't know if I would say, yeah, give me Josh Allen over Brock Purdy. Now, I will trade you Brock Purdy for Patrick Mahomes right now. I mean, I would do that. You would do that. I think Brock Purdy's parents would do that. Lamar Jackson, I don't know if I'm doing it. Matthew Stafford, this age in his career, I'm not doing it. Aaron Rodgers, this age in his career, I'm not doing it. CJ Stroud, very interesting. There's something to maybe talk about, but that's not a trigger I got to pull instantly. I don't know if CJ Stroud is born to be that much better than Brock Purdy is at any of this. I really don't think so. Justin Herbert, no, I don't think I'm doing it. It's a maybe, but a no. Trevor Lawrence is a hell no. There's not a lot of people out there that I say to myself, yeah, without a doubt, that guy is so much better than Brock Purdy. Why even talk about it? By the way, this is a little bit of a test before we do our live stream throughout the entire Chiefs game. This Sunday, I'm not going live at the 2-minute warning. I'm going live right before kickoff, and we're going to hang out. I'll still be doing post-game, but we're going to have a watch party. And want to make sure that everything here works. Chat is chatting. Can I see super chats, though, on here as well as I see them over on StreamYard? I guess someone would have to drop one on me to find out. Just 99 cents just to test it out. Anyway, how about this? I'll reimburse you the 99 cents at PluceMania if you're the first to check this out right here. Otis, happy little watch party with Damon Bruce. Chef A wants to know, will there be snacks? Well, I'm sure on your table there will be snacks, Chef, but our table, no. I'm going to try not to eat. I'm going to try not to eat during the broadcast. That never really goes very well. Although I should totally pound an Ike sandwich. That would be one of the better commercials that I could give Ike's, although it could get messy. Skill said, Damon, I tried to super chat $10 yesterday, but it was not allowed. Well, I was using the old stream yesterday. I don't know why it didn't go through. Sorry about that. Again, if anyone's trying it, someone will do it eventually. But let me see. Let me go over here to the old YouTube page. There is. Oh, there we go. Just like that. True Blue forever. Look at him throwing 10 bones on a test. 1, 2, 3. True Blue. I tell you what, I'll refund you half that. I'll buy you a beer at PluceMania V, the Plucening. Is that what we're going with? Smiley Dan? This is short-term memory loss. It's either the weed or the stroke. All right, there it is. Now we know. Beautiful. Thank you so very, very much. My man, True Blue. Okay. So Andy Reid is saying all these things about Brock and saying, he really and I think that he's telling the truth. I mean, you had his defensive coordinator, Steve Spagnuolo, basically saying this kid's a hell of a quarterback. Why wouldn't Andy Reid share that exact same opinion? This guy's special, man. He is. He's a special football player. I know it. You know it. There's some people who don't want to see it, so maybe they don't. Maybe that's Nick Wright's problem. Again, I'm going to share this Nick Wright video with you before the end of today's show. The video, by the way, is doing great. One of the best 24-hour responses to a video I put up. I think we're over 20,000 views over there. But normally, we do so many of the interviews here. I'm guessing a lot of you have missed it. So I'm going to have it for you. I'm going to play it for you. But there's a few other things that we got to talk about before we do that. Then I'm going to play the Nick Wright video, and then we will have Today in History. So we got a long show for you today. If you're looking to, pretty much slough off work today, this is going to be the show for you. The NFL trade deadline is right around the corner, right? And we got trade candidates that are starting to be discussed around the 49ers. And let's go through just a few of them and the percentages of there really being something there to talk about. So I have seen the least creative, the least plugged into the NFL, the most desperate for attention content creators out there already put out there the 49ers should trade for Maxx Crosby. Hey, why not go after the ghost of Lawrence Taylor too? Because he's just as available. Maxx Crosby, the Raiders are not trading him, and if they do, they're not going to be trading him to the 49ers. They're just not. Mark Davis is never going to make the 49ers look good. It's part of his dedication to that haircut, I guess. Right? Tell me you're new to covering football. Tell me you're new by talking to me about how you think that Maxx Crosby is about to get traded. In order for Maxx Crosby to get traded, either one, the Raiders would want to trade him, which they don't, or two, Maxx Crosby would have to demand a trade, which he has not. So there is no trade block that he's even standing upon. What I would also submit makes this Maxx Crosby a less than 1% reality, because nothing is, totally unthinkable, but the assets that you would have to give up to add a player like Maxx Crosby are exactly the assets that you are going to need to be able to still surround a decent team with Brock Purdy's new contract that's coming up. You're going to need cheap young players. You cannot trade those draft picks away for Maxx Crosby, who is, again, going to be another bottle of top shelf liquor that is really, really expensive. And is he worth it? Is he a hell of a player? Absolutely. Maxx Crosby, Nick Bosa, both complementing each other. I mean, that's the stuff quarterback nightmares are made out of. You'd love to see that, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. There are too many assets in play for that to happen that the Niners cannot let go of. And, the little sort of important point that the Raiders have no interest in trading him whatsoever. And he hasn't asked for a trade. So just stop with the Maxx Crosby nonsense. That shit ain't happening. DJ Jones. Now, he's been missed since he's left for Denver. The 49ers love players that they know, that they're familiar with. They love a player who is familiar with them. I would actually, if the Broncos lose in New Orleans, and help me cash in on that bet that I just made over at BetUS. If the Broncos lose this game, I would say there's about a 33% chance that could happen. The Broncos are also we have a young quarterback. We're trying to learn how to win everybody. We're changing the culture, blah, blah, blah. But maybe DJ Jones is really available with a couple more losses before the trade deadline actually kicks in. I would put that at about 30%, 33% chance of happening. Raheem Mostert is another name. Again, if the Dolphins season continues to go off the skids, this is a player who had one of his best days, the best day of his career for the 49ers in the 2019 NFC Championship game. What a career best, 220 rushing yards. But I wouldn't put that any more than like 15 or 25% chance of happening, because it really sounds like this Jordan Mason injury isn't that bad. It also looks like Isaac Guerendo is officially now ascending in the eyes of the 49ers. And Christian McCaffrey, every day he is supposedly is a little bit closer to returning. So I don't think you'd be flipping, again, precious assets that you really can't say goodbye to based on the new economy that Brock Purdy is going to usher in. You can't trade much for a player that I think would come in at a position that you're about to be deeper in than it really seems today going into this Sunday's game against Kansas City. Three other names: Hassan Reddick, Azeez Ojulari of the New York Giants, and Calais Campbell of Miami. Now, each of these guys is interesting, especially someone like Hassan Reddick, who has so thoroughly priced himself out of football reality that his next and his new agent, Drew Rosenhaus, just has to get him back on the field any way possible. You know, he did not get the money he was asking for. He's not going to come back to the league. I mean, he is in no position of real bargaining power. I think the 49ers could offer him a very reasonable prorated contract to still be paid well this year and come in and make some present an impactful presence on the 49ers defense once it gets late in the season and into playoff time. And the only thing Hassan Reddick would cost would be money. You don't have to trade anything for Hassan Reddick. Azeez Ojulari, again, young enough to, if you had to flip an asset, that's a player you wouldn't mind giving an asset for because he remains a young player. Calais Campbell is a lot longer in the tooth, but he's a solid player. And does Miami need, a 10-year NFL vet in the middle of its defensive line if it's going nowhere fast? At some point, looking towards tomorrow will probably be the right way to be looking for the Miami Dolphins. So I would say there is a 40% chance happening of guys in those groups. Miami keeps losing. New York Giants do nothing in the next couple of weeks. Those players could become available. And like I said, Hassan Reddick is available to you right now. By the way, are we, I'm looking up here at the chat right now, and I believe it is SG Sports Channel's birthday today. Hold on. How much do we like our audience members? We do birthday shots. Happy birthday, SG Sports Talk. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was just a little sip. I got things to do this afternoon. But woo. Yeah. Happy birthday. By the way, speaking of our favorites in here, where's Michelle Haberman been? Well, I haven't seen Michelle's name in here in a couple of weeks, and I get worried when Michelle falls off the radar this much. Hopefully everything's good. I'm sure she's already planning her trip into the city for PluceMania V, the Plucening. But happy birthday. Happy birthday, young man. What we do birthday shots. What we don't do is on-demand shots. Well, True Blue, I can't. I just cannot. I cannot just be paid to drink in the mornings. That just can't be good for the overall credibility of the channel. We can have a little fun. We can't turn it into it's a bug, not a feature. It's a delicious bug. It's a bug that I enjoy, but we can't turn that into a feature. Michael Chan coming in with a little $5 for the ganja jar. Thank you so much, Michael. Damon, do you think that Myles Garrett might be available for a trade? Again, assets. What would you have to give up to get Myles Garrett? He might be available, but at a price point that the Niners can meet, I don't know. Guy's a beast. Thanks. You're welcome, young man. This is Damon. I was looking up and watching old videos of you on YouTube, and man, you have aged incredibly well. Come on, I'm gray as hell right now. Thank you. Thank you very much. I don't know if I agree with you. I think I'm aging incredibly rapidly right now, but everyone's their own worst critic. Papa J wants bong rips instead. Again, we got to maintain an air of professionalism, maybe during the Chiefs live stream. Jillian doesn't like when I smoke in the house, though. And I got kids. I don't want to smoke in the house with the kids. Maybe. Anyway, thank you, Papa J. Look, how old were these YouTube videos, by the way? I mean, I've only been over here on my channel doing it. You maybe found something from somewhere else. Either way, thank you very much. I got to learn how to take a compliment. Okay, so we move along. We move along to the fact that the NFL is doing favors for Tom Brady and screwing us over to do favors for Tom Brady. And it really does. It bothers me. So Tom Brady now has a 5% ownership stake in the Las Vegas Raiders. What does that mean to you or me? Absolutely nothing. What does it mean to the Raiders? Probably not much. It just means Tom Brady is placing an investment in one of the few places that is guaranteed to go up. Guaranteed to grow up, right? I mean, there's no doubt that whatever Tom Brady puts in to an NFL team, more money will come back to him. It's too big to fail. But why sell it to him? Are you doing it just directly to spit into your fans' eyes, Mark Davis? Like if Mark Davis needed an infusion of cash, there are any numbers of people who are ultra wealthy, make Tom Brady's wealth look puny, who would gladly have bought a 5% stake in an NFL team should it have been available. So why does Tom Brady get to do it? Well, Tom Brady is one of the privileged few that has just the blessing of the NFL all over him at all times now, I guess. And what I really don't understand here is how, Raiders fans are supposed to look at him and not see the Tuck rule. I mean, you got to look up at Tom Brady in the ownership box. What could be worse than having to look at Mark Davis in the ownership box other than, Mr. Tuck rule sitting right next to him? Like, that's just spitting in the eyes of Raiders fans, right? Beyond all that, Fox, as the network that just gave Brady $300 million, which Tom Brady said, well, that's not enough for me. $300 million coming in means I'm still going to buy 5% of this NFL team. What's that going to mean for your $300 million contract, Fox? It means you're going to get the worst broadcaster you could possibly get for your $300 million. Brady must abide by the league constitution that prohibits criticism of the league's officials and other teams. Again, he's going to be a broadcaster. He cannot criticize another team. He cannot criticize league officiating. He can't say anything really complimentary about a player. That might be construed as tampering. So Tom Brady is now basically a neutered cat doing color on the NFL's game of the week each and every week. Isn't that insane? That's just freaking insane. Brady, is prohibited from attending in-person or online production meetings or accessing any team facility. He cannot show up on Thursday and watch a little practice. He can't talk to coaches about players. He can't talk to the GM. He can't talk to anyone. What good is he going to be as a broadcaster? Here's the thing. Maybe, here's the deal. If you told me, Damon, you got to cover the league with zero access, well, I'd be like, I'm enough of a bullshit artist, and I think I'm pretty entertaining with my words to maybe I could get away with that. I'm not telling you it would be good, but I could at least be entertaining. Tom Brady isn't even entertaining. Like, the only thing Tom Brady was going to provide was deep inside insights into quarterback mechanics, game flow, referees, all this stuff, and now he can provide nothing. Absolutely nothing other than I'm Tom Brady. And because I'm also a 5% owner of the Las Vegas Raiders, this broadcast was designed to suck. Brady cannot do anything to prepare for a game other than show up and watch it. It feels like the NFL is doing Tom Brady a solid at the expense of its own TV product. It doesn't make any sense. Speaking of former Patriots, I think I found the reason why Bill Belichick isn't exactly running back to the NFL or kicking doors down to be a coach again. Now, you could say that the league's hiring cycle absolutely overlooked him, called him too old, called him too cranky, called him too not fun enough for the new generation of players, whatever. And maybe all that's true. Let me tell you what's also true here. Bill Belichick makes $68,000 every day from the New England Patriots since he's moved on from them. To pay off the remaining portion of his salary, Bill Belichick has made $68,000 every single day since moving on from the New England Patriots. And for the next year, Bill Belichick will make over $2 million per month from the Patriots, over $480,000 per week. That's $68,493.15 per day. That is $2,853 an hour, $2,853 per hour. To schlubs like you and me, that is $47.56 a minute. It's good to be Bill Belichick, who, by the way, is also getting paid handsomely. I'm talking very handsomely from ESPN and all of the broadcasting that he's doing now. Being Bill Belichick's a pretty good thing to be. Before we get to today's Nick Wright video, I've got one more thing to talk about how, owners really just want what's best for them. And it is without a doubt up to the NFL commissioner to protect his owners at all times. That's the number one job of being an NFL commissioner. You're basically a human shield for ownership criticism. And you're there to circle the wagons around vulnerable owners and things like that. Well, Commissioner Roger Goodell has just said that the NFL is still reviewing the most recent complaint against Deshaun Watson, even though Watson has already settled the latest suit brought against him. By the way, this is now 24 such cases that Deshaun Watson has settled out of court. 24 different women have accused him of being a huge creep, flipping over on every massage, asking to put your finger in his butthole level creep. Like, he is disgusting. Deshaun Watson has settled 24 cases. You know what innocent men don't do? Settle 24 cases out of court. So Roger Goodell, in a story written by Mary Kay Cabot of Cleveland.com, says, quote, "We're continuing our review. We take the personal conduct policy seriously, and so our people are working diligently." Really? Really? Like, there isn't an overwhelming mountain of evidence that everything we ever told you about Deshaun Watson being an absolute scumbag and creep isn't already proven by him, by all these settled lawsuits? Like, what the fuck are you investigating? Are you probing around Deshaun's ass, looking for broken fingernails or something? Like, what are you doing? I'll tell you what I think Roger Goodell is doing. What I think Roger Goodell is doing is a solid for Jimmy Haslam, who is the billionaire douche who owns the Cleveland Browns, who has entered the single worst contract in the history of American sports, and I think he's looking for loopholes to get him out of it. That's why there's still an investigation here. Is there a lever that the NFL can pull to just say conduct detrimental to the league, which voids all contracts, even guaranteed ones? It feels like that is maybe, and this is just totally my speculation. I have no evidence of this. This is just me thinking out loud. What is Roger Goodell really investigating? Well, there's no way Roger Goodell gives a single shit about any masseuse that Deshaun Watson treated poorly. He doesn't give a fuck. Not one. What he's looking to do here, I think, is on behalf of the Cleveland Browns looking for an escape hatch out of the worst contract imaginable. That's what I think is going on. Michael Hunya, Damon, would you consider Deshaun Watson's spirals better than Brock's? If you mean spirals into legal trouble, yeah, he's much better than Brock. But no, I wouldn't say that there is a single thing that Deshaun Watson does that is better than Brock Purdy right now at this point in both of their careers. David Trinidad, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate Brock Purdy's spirals? 10 meaning even his incomplete passes and interceptions are a marvel to watch. What is this spiraling coming out? Were we talking spirals? Did I just miss something? I think he throws a pretty damn good ball. I think he throws a really tight spot. How about this? Brock Purdy doesn't throw a level of football that makes me think quack, 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 quack. That's a duck. 2 spiraling questions and super chats back to back out of nowhere. I'm impressed. I didn't know you guys had it in you. Thank you. Yeah, Bazzy me on. Is spirals a euphemism for something else? Is it like spiraling around his butt? No, I don't. Never mind. Everyone's got to go to lunch, and go to Ike's when you go to lunch. No matter what you think of Nick Wright, just the reactions and the comments alone that he generates, just the views alone that he generates speak to his place in the world of sports that he occupies. I want to play for you yesterday's video for Nick Wright right here on today's show, because I know a lot of you watch this here and then you go about your day. Normally we do all of our interviews live right here on the live stream at 11 a.m. West Coast time. Well, we didn't do that with Nick, but I don't want to deny it to the loyal audience who keeps on coming back here all the time. So what I want to do, bear with me here while I get this right, while I get it up, is bring to you yesterday's interview. This is the video that I did. I'm going to play it right off of YouTube with Nick Wright. It's about 25 minutes long, and I certainly hope you like it. Before we do this, we got our man Rakib just saying good luck on 20,000 subs, player. Hey, we want 25 by Halloween. We're on our way. Thank you very much for the support. Thanks for the love. I said the same thing to my man. Nick Wright, who, again, joined me yesterday for this video. And again, if you're triggered by Nick Wright, this would be where you're going to want to go. But if you do stick around, you watch this video, I think you're going to be entertained by it. And we will come back and end today's live stream with Today in History. So you don't want to miss that, I would hope. Here we go with Nick Wright yesterday, right here on the Plus. Enjoy.
Do I think that he is a definitive top 10 quarterback in this league? I don't. And
even though all of his numbers bear that he is. I mean, you're going to have your opinion trump actual football results and statistics.
So here's my rebuttal to that.
You see that guy right there? That guy's Nick Wright, longtime friend of mine, longtime sports radio rival of mine, and now one of the biggest names in the biz. It's good to see you, Nick. How are you?
Good to see you as well. And it's good that, I either still do or used to have rivals when I did radio, and still do now have rivals, because my favorite sports team, the Chiefs, has no rivals. Like it's, you know what I mean? That's the downside to being this dynasty is there are no rivals. Like it's just teams they play and then beat.
I'll say this. I'm all done picking the 49ers against the Chiefs. I'm doubting Thomas until I see it with my own two eyes.
Yeah.
I do like the 49ers chances, though. I'm not officially picking them, but I see a path to victory. I always do. And look, nobody plays the Chiefs better than the 49ers. You got to give them that much. And you know what they've really done? Kansas City's just broken the NFL. It's broken the way teams want to be run. It's broken the way fans evaluate their own teams. And I think it's broken your brain a little bit because you try to evaluate every single team in football by the standard that is a generational player attached to a Hall of Fame coach in an incredible situation. I mean, not everybody can get a generational find with each and every draft. And that brings me to Brock Purdy.
Okay.
Because Brock Purdy might not be Patrick Mahomes, but he is so fucking good at what he does, Nick, and you know it. I think you're starting to come around on it. I've seen a little contrition in some Brock Purdy evaluations.
Well, listen, I'm fair. Listen, when he plays well, I say he plays well. When he plays poorly, I say he plays poorly. I think it is very consistent to hold these opinions that he has certainly, exceeded anyone's realistic expectations as forget being a 7th round pick, being anything other than a 1st round pick. He has already exceeded those expectations. Yes, he is more escapable and sneaky athletic than I thought even a year ago. Yes, starting last year, he stopped being his first year kind of dink and dunk guy. Starting last year, he pushed the ball down the field, and this year he's done that even more so. All that is true, while also believing, and so he's like the 14th, 15th, 16th best quarterback in football. Do I believe that? I do. And do I think it is absolutely reasonable to have the cloud of Jimmy Garoppolo looming large when a player who Jimmy never played to this level, but Jimmy looked like a top 10-ish quarterback. And then the moment he leaves Shanahan and these weapons, he's unplayably bad. So does that give me a little concern? And do I think that if you had, I don't know where people rank Kirk Cousins and Jared Goff, but do I think the Niners would get an upgraded quarterback with either one of those two guys? I do. And those are guys to me that are in that kind of meaty middle. So I think all of those things are consistent. I know people, hate the opinion, but it's just, it's from watching him play. He's impressed me. He has exceeded my expectations. But do I think he is, to bring it to the Kevin Durant conversation, a bus driver for this team? No. Do I think he's more trailer than tractor? Yes. And do I have real concerns about what he would look like without this, King's riches of weapons? Sure, of course.
But wait a minute. Okay, so the King's riches has not been around him. He's lost the offensive player of the year. The reigning offensive player of the year hasn't played a snap
and he
yet.
hasn't been as good.
Ayuk.
And he hasn't been as good.
He's better than he's ever been.
Oh, I don't.
Brock Purdy is better than he's ever been right now. He is attacking more downfield than ever. He is getting less yak yards than ever before. As a matter of fact, the 49ers are now dead last in the NFL in that category. He is delivering more air yardage per pass. His start to his career, Nick, the start that you've been wavering on, is nothing short of the highest rating of any quarterback has ever had through his first 25, 26 games. I mean, he 100%. Is on a historical pace of excellence, and I really feel that you're still using some draftism against him. Had he looked like Trevor Lawrence and had that flowing hair, oh my God, you would be just.
So I'm 100% using some draftism against him, but I don't think that's unreasonable. So I think there's this logic, which is if he were a 1st round pick, you would feel differently about him. And I say, yes, of course. And people think that proves then your opinion on it's invalid. And my take is the reason he wasn't a 1st round pick is some of these measurables that I think are limiting for him. I do think arm strength, I do think size are things that prevented him from being a higher drafted player that do color how I view him as a player. And I don't think he's playing better than last year. I don't think the Niners offense is as good as last year. Now, he is increasing the dynamic plays down the field, and I'll give him credit for that. But he's also increasing the mistakes. They also, shockingly, Christian McCaffrey goes away, and they go from being the best red zone team in football to one of the worst. Like those, and this is where we get in this weird spot, which is, yes, he doesn't have the superstar running back. He still has what would be a standard deviation more weaponry than the average NFL quarterback. And I think you're seeing some of the benefit that obviously I think McCaffrey's the best back in football. Having him there brings to the offense in what defenses try to do. Like, again, I don't think the guy stinks, but do I think that he is a definitive top 10 quarterback in this league? I don't. And
even though all of his numbers bear that he is. I mean, well, so you're going to have your opinion trump actual football results and statistics.
So here's my rebuttal to that. Because even his biggest fans do what I do with the statistics, and they think it's fine. Because you just said it. Greatest start to a career ever. Okay? The numbers say he's not top 10 quarterback in the league. The numbers say he's the best. He was the best last year. He's the best that over the last year and a half, he's been the best quarterback in football. So let's just take Mahomes out of it. Just throw like he's grandfathered in. Does anyone actually think he's better than Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow? I don't think they do.
I think they're all different animals, right? And if you picked up one animal and put it in another forest, it might perform differently. But I don't look at football through the prism of hypothetical maybes. I'm only looking at it as what situation did you land in and how are you navigating it? Since Brock Purdy has started for the 49ers, they keep on going to NFC title games and Super Bowls. Now, they might not have won a Super Bowl, but it took nothing short of the greatest team in the last decade to, I think, prevent them from doing that. And, you know, that happened twice.
Is that not the same? And we don't have to, I know this, people have heard this argument before, so we can talk about other things, I'm sure. But is that not exactly the argument for Jimmy Garoppolo? When Jimmy Garoppolo's healthy, they go to NFC championship games and Super Bowls. And the only reason they didn't win the Super Bowl is they ran into the dynasty. Like, I do think that, and I don't think it is unfair, and I don't think it is unreasonable. If when Jimmy Garoppolo left Kyle Shanahan, he got better, he was an all-pro, it would color this discussion. If when he left Kyle Shanahan, he was just the same player. The fact that he left and is unplayable and is not a starter has to have some impact on this. And so you're right that you don't have to play the hypotheticals of what would a guy be in a different situation to appreciate what he does for the Niners. But when we are talking about the quarterback hierarchy of the league, everybody, it feels to me, except for David Lombardi, puts a bit of a curve on Purdy's stats. And then they get angry because my curve's a little bigger. To me, the intellectually consistent thing to say about Purdy's numbers is, no, he's actually a future Hall of Famer. He is, the numbers say, the winning, the stats, all of it says, he's one of the greatest quarterbacks through 30 games in NFL history. And he is either the best, second, or third best quarterback in the league. That's what the numbers say. So if we're not saying that, then everybody's doing some type of number devaluation, and they just think mine is greater than it should be. That's my general opinion.
I think he's a top 10 guy in this league right now. In the top 10, you know, ebbs and flows through each and every week in a league that is impossible to predict week to week. It really is. Look, I have watched you come late to the party of Bay Area athlete excellence in the past, and I'm watching it happen
But
again.
maybe it'll happen again.
He'll come
It
around.
might happen
I
again.
think
We'll
they're going to
see.
come around. I really do. So look, I watched the Warriors get bored with a regular season in real time when they became champions. Are we watching a little of that happen with the Kansas City Chiefs right now? You talk about red zone struggles.
I'm not going to give the Chiefs as much credit as you're implying there, which is you're right. The Warriors, once they got KD, the regular season was
The NFL
meaningless.
doesn't allow you to become bored with a regular.
Right. The NFL, the regular season really matters. Like it now, the Chiefs obviously were able to win the Super Bowl last year despite having to go on the road, but it's better to be at home. And more so than the home field, the getting to skip a round of the playoffs is super valuable. So I know that's an obvious point, but so I don't think the Chiefs can treat the regular season. What was it? 2018, the Warriors, I think, had the third best record in the league. I know they didn't. The Rockets had a better record. We don't have to, but they really were like, it doesn't matter. What the seeding is. We're going to be fine. So I don't think it's boredom with the Chiefs. I do think what the Chiefs do, and it is amazing to me, more teams don't try to learn from them and follow this path if they can, is use particularly the early parts of the regular season to work on things, to get young players reps, to see, okay, this works, this doesn't, figure out what type of team they're trying to be, rather than simply saying, we know we do this well, we are going to spam this as much as we can, because then if in November or December someone has a counter for that, they don't have, they haven't worked on the other things. Last year, I said the Chiefs were practicing in the regular season, but then they ran into a real issue, which was, basically the wide receivers revolting against Mahomes and handing interceptions to the opposition, and they had real struggles. Right now, I feel like the Chiefs are in a position where they're like, well, every team we play, we're going to have the better coach. Every team we play, we're going to have the better quarterback. And amazingly, every team we play, we're going to have the better defense. And because of that,
it's a hell of a run, D. It's a hell of a run.
It's unbelievable. And the run defense is actually better than the numbers even suggest because Lamar lit them up. But that's a unique situation. You know what I mean? The quarterback and Lamar, what they've done against actual running backs is spectacular. And so I think that they can experiment, try, and work on more things in games and other teams. The thing that is weird about them is they never have just the random blowout victory. They seem like allergic to it. Like every other, just from mediocre to great team, will occasionally just crush somebody. It's like, oh, this team wasn't ready. And now maybe that is because nobody is ever not ready to play the Chiefs. You always get the other team's best game. But the other thing they never do is lose. So that's,
they're a flawed undefeated team, which as long as you have that word undefeated, it sort of covers up the flaws. It is amazing, though. The Mahomes, I think, has gone over 300 yards only once this year. He hasn't seen 3 touchdowns yet in a game. He's thrown a pick at least one in every game. I mean, these are things that if Brock Purdy were doing it, you'd have to break in live to Fox, radio.
No, that's true. 2 years ago when the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, I said, oh, man, the Chiefs just won a Super Bowl with the worst team they're going to have for the next 5 years when they had first traded away Tyreek. Now, I was wrong about that because the next year's team offensively was far worse. But when they won last year, I said, this is actually really bad for our business, for like the sports talk business, because Mahomes, that was the worst season he's ever had. The Chiefs offense looked legitimately broken at times. They had the hardest path by DVOA in NFL history. And the reason I said it was bad for what we do is it makes doubting them, no matter how they look, seem ridiculous.
That's why I'm
And
all
it
done
makes,
picking the Niners against the
yeah.
Chiefs. I'm not doubting anything anymore.
And Mahomes, if they hadn't won the Super Bowl and Mahomes hadn't did what he did in the postseason, there would be an argument of look at Patrick Mahomes' last 20 regular season games and tell me why he's the best quarterback in the league. Like, people could credit, because statistically, from week 1 of last year to right now, it's not like, oh, he's third or fourth best. Statistically, in the regular season, he's like 10th.
Yeah.
But you feel ridiculous saying any of that, because when the games matter, not only do the Chiefs win, but he has played great in the playoff runs.
If you were evaluating Tom Brady based on his box score, you didn't understand what you were even looking at some point. So that's I think where we are with Mahomes. Look, let's move on, because there is something that we both agree on. I think we both absolutely know that Aaron Rodgers reeks of the douche. He really is that kind of a guy. He's also an incredibly talented quarterback still. He's also good for business, whether we like him or not. But do you think the Jets are about to go 9-2 and 8-3 with Devontae and do anything, or has he set them even further back?
Well, I don't think Devontae has set them back, but I'm amazed at the level of optimism surrounding this 2-4 football team. They're not great at anything. Their pass defense should have been great, but they don't have a great pass rush, and now their secondary's banged up. The Bills ran all over them, just like the Niners ran all over them. The offensive line is mediocre at best. Rodgers cannot move and doesn't want to get hit. He's a miserable leader.
Awful.
While he wants to blame other people, he has, in back-to-back weeks, thrown an interception to lose winnable games. That's what's happened. So I don't look at the Jets and be like, oh, they are a Devontae Adams away.
We're going to talk about how proud I am of your evolution towards Steph Curry. You didn't get it at first. Then it sort of knocked on your door enough times where you had to answer it. Where do you put that gold medal performance in Steph Curry's basketball career, the hierarchy of all the things that he's done? Because I think it's one of the biggest things he's ever accomplished, because you saw in real time Durant and LeBron choose a pecking order as it was happening in the game where everybody's reputation needed it the most. I mean, I think that absolutely slams Steph Curry into the 10 greatest players, of all time, of my lifetime. I don't do the all-time game. Like, I wasn't around to watch Jerry West or Wilt or, really Dr. J or Oscar Robertson. I mean,
then by that state, listen, if we're talking in the last 40 years, he's definitive. Yes, I agree with you as far 10 best players. I think it gets tougher. The problem with the all-time stuff is you do have to carve out room at least for Wilt and Russell.
Right.
And now, you know what I mean? And now, so now we're really talking about the top 8, so and I'm more of a list guy than you. But to answer your question directly,
can I give you my list real quick of my lifetime? I wrote it down so I can do it fast. Yeah. Jordan, Jabbar, Magic, Bird, Kobe, LeBron, Shaq, Hakeem, Durant, and Curry. Honorable mention to Allen Iverson, the only one who could be on the list without a title.
If I'm ranking Steph Curry, the most important thing, in my opinion, Steph ever did was the 2015 season. Being a small player, taking that team, which was not yet a super team, carrying them to 60-some wins, and then winning a championship. That's first, and that almost gets overlooked, in my opinion. The second thing is actually the 73-win season. I know it didn't end the way they wanted it to, but in my opinion, that's because the greatest player of all time had the greatest 3-game stretch in the history of the sport. That's more about what LeBron did. Number 3 would be the 2020 title and that finals performance. And number 4 would be embracing Durant and setting his ego aside to create arguably the greatest team ever. And number 5 would be this gold medal run, where you have this greatest collection of talent ever.
On average, how many games of a college football 25 season do you play? I heard you're in it just for the recruiting.
So I know. So when I first got it, I had it for a month and had probably played 40 hours without actually playing a game. I was just building a program. But, once you turn Syracuse into a dynasty, which I did, then I actually started playing the game. And I played 50 games in a few weeks. But almost every game I was a different team. And it was kind of my way of like doing Kyle. I said I was doing prep, like learning the rosters. Like, oh, I didn't realize how good, this team's secondary was. Now that the football season is really in full swing, I have set it aside because there's too many games to watch. There's too much going on. But I missed that game a lot, man. I just turned 40 years old. College football, NCAA, the video game.
By the way, happy birthday. You just had a birthday, man.
I appreciate that.
What I love about you is that as your life and your celebrity and as your reputation in the industry has changed, you remain the exact same guy that I talked to the very first time we were both filling in for Jim Rome. You haven't changed at all, but celebrity changes access. What is the coolest access your rising celebrity status has been able to grant you since becoming one of the faces of Fox Sports?
Coolest access? I got to try out to be a ball boy for the U.S. Open. That was pretty awesome. I love the U.S. Open. And so they let me try out to be
Were you on the net or were you a return to serve?
I did. I tried it for all 4 spots.
Okay.
And so that one was pretty dope. So the non-sports thing that the sports access has granted me is I can get into all these great poker games. You mentioned you had seen that I'm doing this Poker Stars Big Game on Tour thing in Vegas in November, part of the NAPT, which is going to be cool. I'm going to be playing poker with Gronk. The ability to play in some of these poker games, which is my, hobby, more than hobby kind of passion, it has been one of the coolest things ever. There's no question about that.
Did you get along with Brittany Mahomes that night?
Okay, no, that's not it. That's not it. And so that is, I guess, let me say that.
Are you
the fact that I've been able to become friends with Patrick Mahomes is probably one of the dopest things imaginable. Like he has reinvented my hometown, and the fact that 45 minutes after the crowning achievement of his career, he doesn't tweet often, and he only sent one tweet that whole playoff run and celebration, and it was a picture of him holding the Lombardi trophy, and all he wrote was "never a doubt." That was pretty dope. So that was about as good as it gets. I kind of made that the theme of last year's Chiefs season. And within an hour of them winning the Super Bowl, Mahomes tweets out "never a doubt" as a little hat tip my way. That's probably about as cool as it gets.
No one thought this could be done.
That's Gavin Newsom signing the strongest rent control law.
Do you appreciate the hate you get back from fans who can't stand you as much as the love you get from your most ardent supporters?
No and no, because I don't think this is a longer conversation. This would be a good podcast. We could do it one day. I don't think human beings are equipped to deal with the level of critique and
There's venom out there, man.
Venom that can be delivered directly to your eyeballs via social media. Maybe one day we will be, but it's so new. I know there's a lot of people out there that really don't like me, but in order for me to really know, you got to find me. You got to be like, that's Nick Wright, you suck. And so now the downside of that is I'm sure there are some really nice things people say that I don't see, but it's just for my own sanity, I don't want to see it. And B, I do think, and I think you see it sometimes in our business, people will adjust what they say or how they say or opinions based on, the last time I said this, I got all this applause. And the last time I said this, I got all this hate. So let me do more of this and less of that. So I do my best to steer clear of all of it.
Well, you're great at what you do. No doubt about it, brother. Always
You're the best, brother.
Back to you. Thank you very much for coming on.
I appreciate you. You and I will talk again soon. And I think the Niners after they lose to the Chiefs, are going to go on a bit of a run. I think they fall to 3-4, get a little healthier. I don't know. Maybe they bring in Bobby Saleh, his little defensive consultant, to help shore up that defense. I like that. But I love you, Damon, and I love the Plus. I'll talk to you later. See you.
You're the man, Nick. Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, there we go. I turned my mic down. Now we're up. Anyway, thank you very, very much for watching that. Michael, who's coming in as a member for 9 months, saying, unmute it, Damon. Yeah, there we go. I got it done. People are like, Damon got a high during the thing. No, Damon did not get high. Damon is not high. Thank you very much, Niners Worldwide. He's not high. But look, I saw an awful lot of chats. Everyone is sitting around talking about what they think of Nick. And the guy is, without a doubt, a huge firebrand. Nick Wright was torture. Was it torture for you? Look, man, I think you made it through. I think you made it through. I saw Chef A want to know, like, hey, is he romantically linked to anyone? Nick has been married to a beautiful woman for years. And I'll tell you, maybe this makes you feel a little bit differently about Nick Wright. Nick Wright got married to a woman who had a child from a previous relationship. Nick Wright adopted that young man. He adopted like a 13, 14-year-old boy. And he's a good guy. You might not like his sports takes, but believe me, if you sat down and you had dinner with Nick Wright, you would like the person very, very much. I promise you that. I mean, you trust me, right? Do you think I hang out and befriend people that are just assholes, irredeemable scumbags? You think those people are my actual friends in life? It's come on, give your boy a little bit more credit than that, right? Okay. If you stuck around this far, you've officially earned your day in history. Are you ready for it? I hope you are. I hope you're ready for a little day in history. Here we officially go. Want to go over here. I still got to see. I'm using a new stream here. New broadcast component. I want to make sure I got everything right. All right. I think we got everything right. Okay. Today in history. Well, he died in 2007, but what I guess no one believes is that he didn't die jumping over the fountains at Caesars, or what was it, Snake River Canyon, or whatever that was. Born today in 1939, Evel Knievel. I mean, one of the best nicknames ever. Your last name's Knievel. Your nickname is Evel Knievel. The most famous stuntman in the history of America, right? Evel Knievel was a thing that probably, I guess it sort of happens with, some YouTube people trying to challenge each other for shit that could kill you. But he was the first official guy who was tune in tonight on ABC to see whether or not Evel Knievel dies trying to do something that no sane person would ever do. That's who he was. I believe Evel Knievel broke every single bone in his body. So probably a little arthritis in there at the very end. But happy birthday today. Evel Knievel was born. And how often do you get to talk about Evel Knievel? The answer is not often enough. We all know that. Let's see. What else we got going on here? Born today in 1972. You don't want to go into a rhyming contest against this guy. Eminem, 52 years old today. Eminem is 52 years old. Eminem is one of the greatest wordsmiths in the history of the genre of music, much less just rap. His place in the rap music world as a guy who sold albums, as a guy who's got universal respect, it's unquestionable. Oh, man, he tore Diddy down, right? In his latest verse. Woo! Woo! What, he spelled raper? And he's like, yeah, I didn't misspell rapper. Oh, don't fuck with Eminem, man. Don't fuck with that guy. Born today in 1962. What do you know about nachos, Daria? Mike Judge of Beavis and Butthead fame, King of the Hill fame, director of Office Space. Look, I thought King of the Hill was good. Beavis and Butthead certainly had its moment in time. Then that moment went away. I'll tell you, they relaunched it on Comedy Central, and those are some pretty funny damn episodes that actually stand the test of time more than I thought that they would. And I think that Office Space is genius, like one of the best low budget, no budget movies of all time. Office Space is funny as hell, and it still holds a lot of water. So happy birthday to Mike Judge. He's 62 years old, Mike Judge, today. By the way, born today in 1918. She's no longer with us. She passed away in 1987. But one of the all-time hotties was born today in 1918. Rita Hayworth. Look it up, boys. Girls whose door swings in the way of girls. Look, you're going to look Rita Hayworth up too. Rita Hayworth was a dime piece. Rita Hayworth. I mean, a huge actress in Hollywood during Hollywood's golden age. She turned into a pinup girl who got splashed across magazines and was on the side of like B-52 bombers dropping bombs in World War II. Speaking of bombs, Rita Hayworth had a couple of good ones herself. And I'm just telling you right now, like, I never met your grandfather. But there's one thing I know about your grandfather, and he yanked it to Rita Hayworth. Guaranteed he did. Everyone's grandfather yanked it to Rita Hayworth. So that's who she was. I mean, if Rita Hayworth were alive today, her OnlyFans page would just be, it would be ferocious. So happy birthday, heavenly birthday to Rita Hayworth, one of the all-time hotties. We celebrate all-time hotness. We celebrated the birthday of Raquel Welch. We celebrated the birthday of, we celebrate all-time hotness here on the show. Speaking of all-time hottie, born today, actually not born today, but today in 1979, Mother Teresa, all-time hottie. She won the Nobel Prize for Peace. And when you want to talk about one of the greatest lives ever lived, one of the least selfish lives ever lived, Mother Teresa, she's right up there. Finally, all said and done. I know no one wants to hear that about grandpa. Dude, your grandpa got down. Trust me. If your grandpa didn't get down, your mom would never have been born, your dad would have never been born, and you wouldn't be around. So thank God for grandpa's fucking. I'm sorry. Okay. Today in 1968, the movie Bullet was released. I mean, we got to celebrate all things that are dudes and guys and movies and things like that. Bullet was released today. It's the definitive Steve McQueen role. It's the car chase that changed the concept of car chases cinematically forever. If nothing else, watch the car chase in Bullet, baby. And that's pretty much all you need to know. I certainly hope you enjoyed today's show. You are fantastic. I've enjoyed watching and reading your chats. I've enjoyed hanging out with you today. And yeah, Grandpa. Yeah, Christopher, that guy. That guy. There it is, kids. That is today's show. Again, that Nick Wright video is doing better in its first 24 hours than I think any video that I've ever put up here on YouTube. So I wanted to share that with you since you all gather so loyally every single day here, usually at 11 o'clock. And we'll be back at it tomorrow. We're going to have ourselves a little wake up with yours truly and Larry the Friday before Chiefs week. We'll do an 11 o'clock show. Might even take some video calls. I think it's time to get back to a little Sports Phone Friday. And I will let you know that we are live streaming the entire 49ers Chiefs game. I'm not going live at the 2-minute warning. I'm going live 2 minutes before kickoff, and we're going to watch the whole thing together and hopefully figure out a way to stream and sync this show to this game that you're going to be watching, and it all works. It's something I haven't done. So we're going to try that out and see how it goes. In the meantime, you are the best. You are my kind of folks all the way around. I thank this guy right here, Mr. Ike of Ike Sandwiches. Make sure you download that new app and start earning your way towards free sandwiches. And, oh, by the way, on that new app, you can win a trip for 2 to New Orleans to a football game that's going to be played there in February. So another reason to check out that new Ike's Love Rewards app. Thanks to the Dubliner. We hope to see you there on Sunday of the 49ers bye week. That is November 3rd. We're going to get together around noon. We're going to be hanging out, like-minded people, kicking it together. Get yourself to YouTube, BetUS, and use promo code YouTube150 to get 150% sign-up bonus up to $2,000 on that first deposit. And thanks to all of you for being here today. You mean so much to me. And on that note, the only thing that I have left to tell you is that sports don't build character, they reveal it. And like that, he's gone.